Uh, Today is Monday, I believe the 25th. Confirm that.
That's right, 25th.
25th, yeah, okay. Monday, February 25th. We are talking, we are discussing actually the negotiation strategies and tactics from Europeans with the objective to be better prepared when you are negotiating with Europeans, and probably with actually not will probably not only apply to Europeans but also to other foreign countries, because the European culture has had influence via colonialism over many parts of the rest of the world. So I hope that this will give you a little insight into negotiation and strategy, so you can be better prepared when you are up against foreigners. All right. So what we have been discussing was the visionary part, basically to determine what's on the other side's mind. We have been talking about negotiation strategies. There were 5 strategies, and we have also been discussing tactics. So the 5 negotiation strategies, I thank you very much. So the competing strategies to go head to head, basically hardball negotiation. Collaborating is basically not going directly at each other, but looking at it from the same side, looking at the problem from the same side. Then we had the compromising strategy, is where you're trying to meet each other halfway. This is quite often used strategy. Okay, one side wants 100, the other side wants 80. So compromising strategy would be that 80 would suggest that they agree on 90. Avoiding is trying to basically avoid confrontation, which could be manipulated. You could, if you are a negotiating avoider, you could be manipulated by the other side if they're trying to drive a hardball negotiation. So avoidance is probably not the best strategy against a hardball negotiator. Accommodating is something that I see quite often here in Japan. That's where one side, or one side probably, is in an unequal power position versus the other side. It could be due to, for example, the position that both people have, but it could also be because, for example, the supplier has a much lower position than the buyer. Take, for example, the big manufacturers who are using a lot of small suppliers in their supply chain. I believe that this is quite common, for example, in the car industry, where customers can demand the price decrease if it is necessary for the big buyer to flourish. I also understand actually in Japan that this is not always the case. Suppliers can be squeezed, but when times are better, they'll be giving something in return. But this accommodating strategy might only work in favor of both if there is a long-term commitment. Now, I believe that actually this is more common in Japan and maybe China than in Europe, where basically you need to prove yourself over and over again. Otherwise, people will switch, because what we are trying to do in our societies is that we are trying to standardize and create contracts that will protect us. So there's less reason, there's less risk involved and this will basically make it easier to switch contractors. So accommodating strategy. Okay, if you are really in desperate need to win this contract because you have long-term perspective, you have bigger things that you would like to sell, then accommodation could work. But basically, you say yes to everything. What is the reason for choosing your negotiation strategy? It depends on a number of things. Okay, how strong is your partner? How well did you do your homework? If you did your homework well, if you have other options, if you have taken the time and effort to look for alternatives, and the better your partner is, the better your alternative is, the easier it is to strengthen your negotiation strategy. If you're looking for a car, you found a very good car. You may be close to buying it, but before you're going to buy it, you want to have just one more look at the showroom that you didn't visit yet. Now, in a case like that, the buyer has a very strong negotiation power. They say, well, basically, I'm going to buy that other car, but if I find the same car at a lower price, then I may consider it. So if your partner is strong, you can drive a stronger negotiation strategy. If you have a lot of time, you can also increase your negotiation strength. If the relationship is less important to you, you can increase your strength. And if the strategic value of the deal is not that big, or if it's actually peanuts for you, if the amount of money involved in the deal is peanuts for you, you can drive a strong strategy. So the smaller, more time-bound, more strategic deals are a reason to have less strong negotiation strategies. But this is where the small suppliers to the big car manufacturers come in. Basically, they tick all boxes. They don't have usually there are not that many big car suppliers, and creating a sales relation, supplier buyer relation with these cars is vital to these companies. So BATNA is probably very difficult. The relationship is super important. The strategic value to these small suppliers is pivotal, and the monetary value is also usually very important because they only have one customer. So this will lead to automatically to an accommodating negotiation strategy. Okay, we'll move to the next one.
Yeah. No, this one. Oh, this one.
Yes. Okay. So psychology, negotiation is psychology, especially when you're looking at the vision. It's not only hard science where we are basically comparing numbers and following a very clear strategy. It's also discovery to figure out what people, not only what people are saying, but what they are thinking, what their position is, if their BATNA is really as strong as they claim to be, where they're at. So it's not just simply looking at the things on the table, but also trying to look behind that and discover what drives people. For example, what objectives they have, what goals they have, what they're saying, what they're really thinking. That's important. The more you know, the better your position will be to get the maximum value out of the negotiation.